importance of HR managers in the organizations. I'm sure you have heard about these designations. You have met some people who are working as the HRs of different companies. So, what is the importance of these HR managers? First, we will discuss these. The first point is strategy management. What do you understand by the term strategy? It says that the HRs, the HR managers, they need to design certain protocols, procedures, and guidelines called as strategies. And everybody has to make sure that we all are following it properly and as per the company standards. We cannot change the strategy which is laid by the top management. We cannot do any kind of alteration in that. We can definitely give our suggestions. That is allowed. We can always work towards improvement, but there is no option for the employees to change it. It is always advised that we follow that with proper terms, with proper conditions, and there should not be any kind of gap in this. So, HR managers, what is their role in this? They have to manage the strategies. They need to ensure that organization is able to reach the goals that it has decided. It needs to contribute for the corporate decision making process, because if the strategies are not laid properly, the system cannot function well and the targets, the goals cannot be achieved. It also includes assessments for the current employees, assessments as in their performance assessment. How are they working? How is their performance? Are they able to meet the targets? Is there any challenge they are facing? Or is there a loophole? Is there something that we can do to improve for them, for the employees, for the company in itself? Everything has to be managed by the HR managers. And that is the point we have covered in strategy management. The next one is benefits analysis. Benefits for the employees particularly, and ultimately this benefit can be associated with that of the company. Because if employees are benefited, if employees have something good, they are receiving that kind of recognition, acknowledgement from the company for the efforts that they are putting in, it will ultimately be linked to the company's welfare. The company's growth is directly dependent on this. So HR managers, they have to work towards the reducing of cost. This is also called as cost cutting. And sometimes I find people, when they talk about cost cutting, they are like that the HR managers or the concerned person is reducing the cost. No, it's not like that. There is a budget for everything, and we need to understand whatever things we plan, whatever strategies we make, some kind of investment is happening, there has to be a cost associated with it, and we need to adhere to that. The HR professionals are also trained to conduct efficient negotiations with the potential and the existing employees. And this is all done to ensure that the employee benefits are granted to them with ease and with proper functionality. They also need to make sure that the existing workforce is able to retain. Retain means the employee of the company is working with it for number of years, and it should not be the case that today I have joined the company, after a few months I decide to leave. And if this is a repetitive pattern, then certainly HRs need to take some kind of step for this, because we cannot afford to lose our employees, and we cannot ask them to leave the company for no reason. So there has to be a balance which is to be maintained every time. The next part is training and development. So training and development, which is related to learning and development process, because every employee, every individual needs handholding. We cannot just keep on working every day for the task that is given to us. We also need sufficient training. We also need that kind of development, so that if there is a new thing, there are new strategies, there are new policies, me as an employee should be informed about it. And just a mere communication cannot really function well. So as an employee, I should be trained sufficiently for that. These training sessions happen periodically, annually, sometimes weekly also, so that employees I mean to say, all the employees are able to align themselves on the same page. This actually helps in strengthening the employer and the employee relationships. It can also contribute to the growth of employees within the company, because unless and until we are not learned enough, we do not have sufficient knowledge, we cannot grow at our workplace. This can actually improve employee satisfaction and productivity, because employees will feel good that, okay, today I learned something new. I am not in school anymore, but my organization is giving me that kind of knowledge, that kind of learning. This kind of approach should be given to all the employees. And if they have some kind of questions or their queries, it should be answered in that training session itself. So the next important point, the importance that we are talking about, HRs are also necessary to increase or improve interactivity within the employees. They need to conduct events, some kind of ceremonies, celebrations within the organizations time to time. And it can also help the employees build their teamwork spirit. Because unless and until I am not able to interact with other colleagues, I might not feel familiar with them. I might not feel the sense of friendliness within the company. So, when these ceremonies, rewards, recognition events are organized, it can help one employee to interact with other employee, and the chain continues. So, it can enhance the interactivity within the employees. It can actually build the sense of trust and respect among the peer groups. So that is the reason these kind of celebrations, ceremonies are organized. Sometimes it happens occasionally as per the occasion, sometimes without occasions as well. HR managers are responsible for conducting these. And this has nothing to do with the cost cutting part. Of course, it is linked to it, but we should keep that cost cutting parameter separate from this. There should be a separate budget which should be planned for certain activities. Now, the next crucial point is conflict management. See, we all are human beings and we all come from different backgrounds. We have different educational qualifications. We have a different sense of upbringing. So, there is a possibility that sometimes team members do not gel with each other properly. There can be some arguments, some kind of conflicts. Maybe the junior is not able to interact with the senior well, or maybe the immediate team members are not so friendly. And if this kind of a situation arises, the HR manager has to take serious step to curb this, because we cannot afford to have conflicts running in our company. There has to be a solution. There has to be a way to reduce this. HR managers, they need to ensure that all kind of issues, problems, chaos is resolved effectively, efficiently. And whatever problem comes up, we should be ready with the solutions. There has to be some kind of effective communication within the employees, so that we can listen to the problems, we can suggest them some solutions, and we can take necessary steps to reduce this kind of conflict if ever it arises in the company. We need to understand the employees, we need to understand their situation as well, and then we can explain them. Maybe they are not happy with some kind of strategies, maybe they are facing some difficulty. So we can explain them, and for that, we need to be empathetic. We need to put ourselves in their shoes and then analyze what is it that is affecting their behavior. Is there some kind of personal issue that is not making my employee feel happy? Or if two employees are not able to gel with each other, what is it that I can do? Because if there are conflicts, there are issues, certainly my teamwork, my team performance will dip down. And as HR manager of the company, we cannot afford this kind of scenario. The important responsibility of HR manager is also to ensure that we have a healthy work culture. Work environment is the first thing anybody will notice. Suppose I am going for an interview and I want to join that company. From outside, I have heard a lot about that company. It has good reputation, but when I entered the company, I saw that the work culture or the work environment is not good. So my second thought will be that I don't want to join this anymore because it is not giving me a peaceful culture. Hence, it is important for the HR department to ensure that we have a healthy work culture. And whatever problems are there, see, nothing can be perfect. We understand it. Instead of that kind of imperfection, what is the best thing we can bring out for the employees so that they can work well, they can manage with the limited resources? If there is a situation of crisis, what is it that we can do to stand with each other? Like this, HR managers contribute significantly in setting up a healthy work culture like this. And ultimately, if your work culture is good, if the environment is friendly, the productivity of employees will enhance, they will feel good, they will be happy at their work, and the enthusiasm level will also rise. And that is the reason that this work culture is so important. Every time when we talk about work life balance, this work culture also plays a crucial role in that. Because if I'm not happy at my work, I'm not enjoying the culture, I am not being friendly with my colleagues, certainly there can be a tiff. There can be moments when I am not in a mood to to go to my organization anymore. So that is the reason that I am stressing too much on healthy work culture. Next part is compliance. So HR professionals, they have to work towards making the organization compliant with the employment laws. They need to maintain proper records of the hiring process, the candidates structure, their history, their data, etc. And everything should be confidential, right? Because if things are not confidential, if we are not able to keep the proper record of data, there can be issues at the time of audit, or there can be some other issues too. It can really disturb the harmony of the employees if they feel that their data is not protected, or the kind of work they are doing, it has to do something with the quality. That kind of quality is not achieved in their work. So compliance for like this, we need to really check. So these were some of the points that we discussed, and it was all related to the importance of HR managers. Now, the next part that we are covering is why human resources are important for any organization. So the first point that we'll discuss is recruitment. As we all know that there are different methods by which a candidate can get selected or he can apply for an interview process in different companies. Today, in the digital world, we have lots of online methods. We have online portals where you can be aware of the job openings. You can apply in your favorite companies. Yes. And also, we have offline methods. Yes, earlier offline methods were more in picture as compared to online. But today also, if you want to visit a particular office, you can go there, you can meet the person at the reception, and sometimes you can even get the chance to meet somebody from the HR department. You can talk about yourself, you can share your resume, some documents if required. Later, if they have some vacancy available, you can be called for the interview. This is how the process goes on. So this recruitment, this complete cycle is handled by the HR. They need to work with the respective managers of different departments, and they need to have some recruitment goals. According to that goal, according to that job requirement, a particular candidate is shortlisted. After shortlisting the set of CVs, they need to conduct the first round of interviews, which commonly happens with the HR department. After they are done with their first round of interviews, they are shortlisted. Those who are shortlisted, they appear for the next round of the interview. And that particular interview is done with the manager or the senior of the respective department. For example, I want to appear for the finance department. First, my interview will happen with the HR team. We'll discuss some of the basic things. And if they find me suitable, they will check my knowledge related to finance, my previous experience, if any, or my score chart available. Accordingly, they will put me for the next round of interview, which will happen with the finance team. The finance team will further investigate about me. They will check my skills in detail. And if they find me good enough, I will be selected for that role of finance. This is how this process continues. So the next part comes up after recruitment. It is hiring. So you need to make, after you have selected a particular candidate as HR, you need to make the offer letter. You can even call it as appointment letter. You need to have salary negotiations because again, that is an important part for the employee. Sometimes there can be confusion related to this part. So it is better that when you're meeting the employee after this interview selection process is done, you conduct this salary negotiation in detail and in a very precise manner. Put everything on paper, put everything on record, because that is the professional way of doing it. Afterwards, you also need to complete your documentation part, some kind of paperwork, because after you have selected an employee, you need to collect related documents like ID card, PAN card, Aadhaar card. Sometimes you also need to check the certificates, mark sheets, or the previous relieving letter of the employee. Everything has to be done professionally and in sync with the process. You can also talk to the new people, the new hired employees about their joining date, about their work location, the timings, because for every company it is different. If they're given some kind of extra benefits like cab facility, food allowances, petrol charges, you can even discuss it at the time of hiring. So everything has to be taken care by the human resource. And I'm sure as we are going further in this topic, you are able to relate that why this human resource is so important. What if human resource is not there in X particular organization? I'm sure you are able to understand that we will certainly miss on these points that are there at your screen. Afterwards, the one more responsibility for HR is to onboard the new hires. They need to release the appointment letter, do the documentation work as we have discussed earlier too. They need to have everything documented. Everything should be there on a professional email from the employee, from the employer. They should agree on the common terms and conditions. Like this process continues. Once this process is done, you have selected the right set of candidates for the right responsibilities. They are onboarded. You need to now train them because if an employee is new to the company, he does not have enough knowledge. He is not skilled enough. He is not aware of the company rules, regulations, and policies. So you need to train them. At some places, it is also called as NHT, which is new hire training. In that training process, the employees are trained about almost everything right from zero. And baby steps are taken so that the new employee does not feel isolated. He should not feel that I do not have enough knowledge. I'm not good enough to work. That is the reason this kind of training session is used. Let's move further. The next part of HR is to manage the payroll that can help in deciding the salary of the new employees, and those employees who are existing within the company itself, they can get increments. They should get increments after a certain period of time. Everything is checked by the payroll. At some places, there is also a mechanism of incentives, and incentives are generally variable in number. So that is also decided by the payroll department, the payroll team, as to how these incentives are to be distributed. Annually, bonus is also distributed to the employees, and sometimes when employees are indulged in overtime, they do get some extra payout for that. So many things are there which is related to your salary. Some fixed components are there, some variable components are there. So HR professionals have to use a specific technology to check how many hours have you worked, how is your attendance record? Because if there are so many leaves or you are getting late to the company very often, you can be penalized for certain things. So be very careful and do your work sincerely. The next part is to manage the benefits. So every company, be it a public company, be it a private company, semi-government, any kind of company, they do have some benefits for all the employees. Government companies, they generally have similar kind of benefits, but private companies, they have their own set of benefits. For example, petrol benefits, fuel allowances, travel reimbursement, food allowance, lodging, traveling, and you can even have retirement benefits at the government organizations. So everything has to be managed by the HR team. Yes, employees are always welcomed if they have certain questions related to their salary part, the perks and benefits they are getting, and they can always approach the concerned person for this query resolution.